Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd. I present to your attention another market review for InstaForex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of November, and today official economic data was released for Australia. The rate was raised as forecasted, just as expected. So basically, nothing particularly unusual or unexpected occurred here. And tonight, as we turn our focus to the developments in the labor market window in the United States, noting that we are still proceeding without data from Greenland and Iran. But let me remind you once again that this current trading week is proving to be very unusual, primarily because on Wednesday we have the preliminary non-farm payrolls report, and then on Thursday we have the significant euro rate decision, the upcoming European Central Bank press conference, and on Friday the crucial non-farm payrolls report. I think we can expect good volatility in the second half of the week. Let's take a look at what we can trade on the charts. Let's go! So let's begin by looking at gold quotes, which have pulled back significantly within their broader, strong bullish trend. And those who bought from, we almost reached the classic support resistance level of 4,377, but fell just a bit short. They are probably already rubbing their greedy trader hands together in anticipation. And what is interesting to note here is that overall we have bounced off those significant long break zones that occurred back in January. Now, you might be inclined to say that this is merely a coincidence, and you would be right to think so, but there is actually a lot more to the story than that. Such powerful moves in currencies, as a rule, don't happen without some oscillatory patterns, which is exactly what we're experiencing right now. To say that from here, gold will set new historical highs. Well, that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. Everything is relative, my dear friends. We've seen a strong short initiative. From that, we got a 3 to 5 move. We've fallen quite deeply. A lot of traders got wiped out on this move, a 120,000 move. And now, in my admittedly unqualified opinion, they're actively trying to fight back, looking for interesting situations here to secure a better profit. For now, I don't see, well, what exactly do I see here? I see a very interesting long side break that happened earlier today during the trading session in the Asian market, and it hasn't been tested yet. And it would, of course, be very interesting to observe if this break were actually breached later on. We currently have a small local level sitting right at 4947. And if, for example, the instrument rolled back to this zone, you could buy in with the aim of an update, with a stop placed behind the correction of yesterday's American session. That would be my plan, including it would be the same plan for the European session. But the European traders decided to keep buying, and that's why we're seeing the quotes rise. So basically, I don't see any strong breaks for shorts here at the moment. It's very strange that the instrument hasn't tested the zone. This short side break right here. But in any case, we were asleep here, but this part was tested and quite precisely. Accordingly, the Asian traders who translate my trading ideas made some profit here. Basically, that's all for now here. As for the more substantial concepts, let me provide you with a clean template. Let me remind you that I'm very interested in this level, and everyone sees it as a mirror level. The level is 4. How much is it? 4,380. Let's call it that. The prices have been fluctuating around this level. This is now the local minimum for this entire month. And from here, no one was shaken out of their positions, and they weren't shaken out before either. And that's definitely strange. But if I were working on the downside, and such setups would appear sooner or later, and ahead of us is a bunch, let's call it the American bunch of news, then it would be interesting to use this bunch to work specifically on the downside, with the goal of shaking out the crafty buyers who entered longs from this level. Well, something like that, but there's no entry point yet, nor any short selling initiatives either.
Looking for real trading advantages? InstaForex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
The euro-dollar pair. Let's throw on a clean template. Let's look at the H4 chart and see that the instrument is also correcting and has had a clearly defined short trend throughout this entire trading week. Here's what we have as of today. Well, first of all, there's the classic mirror support resistance level from which a lot has already been taken out here. That's definitely impressive. We have a solid and well-defined bearish pin bar, which has already played out on the break of the week's low that's also been taken out. We have some compelling and significant targets for shorts below, which weren't successfully breached or broken through at the time. That's also quite interesting. So, let's take a completely unbiased and comprehensive look at this entire situation. Well, first of all, for those who want to buy, there is some very encouraging and positive news for you. You have every good reason to do so. Here, on the specific 4th time frame we are analyzing, well, it is quite deep, but still, yes, there is a significant long side break that was not actually tested or validated back at that particular time. And maybe it'll turn out that we could come down here. If I were a potential buyer, which is certainly not out of the question, I would try to initiate a purchase position from this zone, aiming for substantial and significant currency gains in the still not strictly prohibited currency speculation market. There is also a potential selling zone area, and it is clearly present on the H4 timeframe, where you will have to carefully set your stop-loss orders. To put it in strictly analytical and technical terms, absolutely nobody has any idea where, so if you're ready to set a stop-loss of 1,800 points, then that is your strategy. Then this level is for you, but most likely not. In other words, the sell zone here comes with huge stop-losses, but also the possibility or even a test of this zone, or maybe even a breakout. All of this and a very similar setup happened to us in the frosty September of last year. You see right here, yes, you can clearly see there was a slight undershoot here, but from there it gradually dropped and dropped even further down. And by the way, we actually sold our position right here at this point. If anyone remembers, though you probably don't, but I do, we sold here and caught this move. Maybe the exact same thing will happen here, but I want to share a very interesting thought with you, which I've already forgotten, but let's move on to the pound. Just kidding. The thought is that the instrument is currently in a specific zone that isn't of any real interest. For us as professional traders, it's simply not interesting for buying or selling right now. And unfortunately, this kind of situation can occur from time to time.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
The British pound US dollar pair is also dropping. It's dropping. I'm showing you the H4 chart. Let me remind you that this year the instrument heroically set new highs compared to July. And now you can see it is very gradually deflating. Where would we like to see this instrument? Everything is very closely correlated with the euro US dollar pair, because unfortunately these instruments are united by the US dollar, which still exists. And here it's the same idea as with the euro. There's a bearish break from above, which we haven't tested, and a bullish one from below, which we also haven't tested, while the quotes are just drifting between these two levels. So we don't play here. Instead, we simply stand back to observe, smile, and wave.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
The Australian dollar following today's critical interest rate decision, and by the way, it is currently one of the most frequently overlooked and undersold instruments, specifically shot up toward the moon during the official announcement. But then it corrected, and now it is just gradually drifting, continuously drifting, and it is drifting in a very interesting and specific location. This is the area of a bearish break. And by the way, let me remind you that the Australian dollar here is, roughly speaking, the most undersold instrument. If the British pound has already broken through and the euro has already broken through the weekly range, then this specific one is still following the template. The British pound has already successfully broken through the resistance, and the euro as well. Let us take a quick look to confirm. Yes, it also broke through the weekly level, you see, but the Australian dollar hasn't broken through yet, and the recent rate hike pushed it further up. So we have a highly significant and interesting technical area here on the Australian dollar that hasn't been broken yet. And it would be interesting to take a short position here with a significant profit potential of 100 points from the current market level, which could be attractive for traders. Friends, my favorite instrument has already started to creep down a bit, and you can take advantage of this a little. This way, you can work out a weekly setup by taking the weekly area, and if you're lucky, though most likely not, you could even hold it until the good old area at the 0.666 level, a scary number that hasn't been surpassed for several consecutive weeks before.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
Friends, InstaForex offers a free consultation with a personal trading consultant. Follow the link in the video description, fill out the callback form, and gain access to exclusive offers and special trading conditions. BRT Plus for risk-free trading. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.